The WNBA has lately gotten rather hotter, and thanks mostly to rookie sensation Caitlin Clark. Recall when we indicated she would disrupt things? She is indeed generating earthquakes rather than merely shaking. Imagine this. Caitlin is out there doing what she does best, lighting the scoreboard and rousing the audience. Not everyone, meanwhile, enjoys the Clark show. Things flared in this game against the Seattle Storm. That's WNBA veteran Skyler Diggins-Smith practically pushing Clark while she's energizing the audience. But wait, there is even more. Diggins-Smith performed poorly. She started it with Christy Sides yelling nonstop, "Don't touch me." The Clark impact is obvious as day, and it's starting to irritate certain players. The worst part is this, though. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are blazing despite all this drama, maybe because of it. Let us discuss this crazy game versus the Seattle Storm. For folks, it was amazing. The Indiana Fever released amazing intensity. They had a 28-point lead at half one. The Fever seemed to be performing on a completely other level. Kathy Clark? She was just unrelenting. She completed the game with really great numbers. 23 points, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. Her improvement of the whole team's performance, nevertheless, is truly remarkable. Kelsey Mitchell performed also really brilliantly. She put an amazing 27 points. Clark and Mitchell have chemistry unlike anything other. They seem to have been playing together for years rather than a few months. Not forgetting Lexi Hull is also important. Striking 6 out of 7 three-pointers, she surprised everyone off the bench. Hull ended with 22 points, demonstrating that the Fever has weapons beyond Clark. Still, it wasn't exactly flawless sailing. Cutting the margin to only 8 points, the Storm attempted a second-half comeback. This is when we really came to know the nature of this Fever team. Clark and company stayed cool rather than flaking. Their game changed, their defense tightened, and in the last quarter they just dominated. The Fever scored 92, 75 at last. This game proved that the Fever is not only the Caitlin Clark squad. There is a full team here, with players whose complementing skills are exactly ideal, and with Clark leading the way, they seem primed to shock many people in this last run of the season. Clearly, Clark is altering the rules of play. She returned after the Olympic break and seemed to have reached another gear. Some seasoned players in the league find her numbers veteran-like rather than rookie-like, which irritates them. The episode involving Skyler Diggins-Smith is not a unique one. Think back on the beginning of the season. Clark was the receiver of some quite forceful, nearly extreme fouls. Some veterans seem to want to welcome the youngster in an unpleasant manner. But nowadays, these days, it is different. Nowadays, Clark is not only a bright rookie. She indeed poses a real threat. She is guiding her squad into the playoffs, shattering records, and most importantly, bringing a lot of WNBA exposure front and center. When the Fever performs, arenas get packed. TV ratings are off the scale. What few players have accomplished, Clark is accomplishing for the WNBA. She is making women's basketball an absolutely must-see event, and this is making one jealous. Some seasoned athletes, who have spent years developing their careers, suddenly find a 22-year-old rookie taking front stage. The league should use great caution. For fans, this mounting conflict could be thrilling, but it's also perilous. Should Clark sustain an injury from too aggressive or violent play, it will be a tragedy not only for her and the Fever, but also for the whole WNBA. The truth is, Clark should be the league's celebration subject. She is bringing fresh supporters, more exposure, and higher play level. Rather of bitterness, one should be in awe. Still, one thing is for sure. Caitlin Clark is not caving in. She arrived to take front stage, exactly what she is doing. And the WNBA gets more fascinating the more she excels. Let me now discuss something that will make Fever aficionados smile from ear to ear. The amazing chemistry Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and, shockingly, Lexi Hull exhibit. Many worried about Clark's fit with Kelsey Mitchell when she joined the Fever. Mitchell was already the team's star after all. On the court, though, we are witnessing nothing less than magic. Right now, one of the most dynamic duads in the league is Clark and Mitchell. They seem to have a sixth sense about one another. With her remarkable court vision, Clark is continually spotting Mitchell in scoring positions. Mitchell, though, she is seizing every chance. This was evident in the game versus the Storm. The other defense simply doesn't know where to look when these two are on the floor. Lexi Hull, nevertheless, surprised me greatly that evening. Hull's performance off the bench had everyone scratch their eyes to ensure they were seeing it correctly. 6 of the 7 three-pointers are, that almost is flawless. This exhibits what? That Clark is raising the whole team's caliber rather than only highlighting her own. Hull, a former regular rotation player, suddenly seems like a top sharpshooter on the court with Clark. We cannot overlook Aaliyah Boston, too. Her presence in the paint is vital even though she didn't have explosive numbers in this game. Knowing Clark and Mitchell have a strong defensive base, she lends them the security to be proactive. They won't simply be a playoff team if the Fever continues to play like tonight, with Clark arranging the offense, Mitchell a continual scoring threat, Hull shocking from the periphery, and Boston controlling the paint. Nobody wants to deal with this club in the playoffs. Who would have guessed we would be having this talk? Last season, the Fever ended last in the standings. Currently, they are exactly in the middle of the struggle for a playoff position, and it is no coincidence. The Fever raised their record to 13-15 following their triumph over the Storm. That places them 8th overall in the standings. Recall, the top 8 teams qualify for the playoffs. That is quite a turnaround. But the way the Fever are playing makes this playoff race even more fascinating. They are not only winning, they are dominating clubs regarded as better. Furthermore important is the remaining timetable of the Fever. Every game nowadays is almost a playoff final, and the Fever look ready for this challenge, Clark guiding the way. The Fever's consistent improvement of game after game is absolutely remarkable. Beginning the season, there were times of genius mixed with novice errors. They are playing now with the assurance of a seasoned playoff squad. The WNBA playoffs this year seem to be among the most fascinating in recent memory, and a major factor of it is the Indiana Fever, headed by their remarkable rookie, ready to create some noise. Now, though, we have to address something that has everyone on the tip of their seats. Between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, the fierce struggle for Rookie of the Year. People, this race will thrill you as much as a playoff decision. One side of things has Caitlin Clark redefining what it means to be a WNBA rookie. Conversely, Angel Reese, who is ruling the boards and creating personal history. Allow us to review the figures. In points and assists per game, Clark is topping all fresh graduates. She is playing like a seasoned all-star, not just good, not rookie numbers, her 29 points and 10 assists versus the Mercury reflect MVP numbers. But Angel Reese follows really closely. She boasts an outstanding 15 straight double-doubles and leads all rookies in rebounds. For any player, but especially a rookie, it's an amazing accomplishment. Her last game against the Phoenix Mercury saw her score 19 points and grab 20 rebounds. The way Clark and Reese are affecting their particular clubs adds even more relevance to this competitiveness. Both players are also shattering records and bringing unheard-of league publicity. Among the most watched shows of the season are Fever and Sky games. I am looking forward to the next one. This Rookie of the Year competition might ultimately be among the closest in WNBA history. Strong arguments in both players' favor abound. Should I have to wager right now, Clark has an advantage. The difference is her influence on the Fever's performance as well as her outstanding stats and the league's attention she is bringing about. Unquestionably, the WNBA is the major winner regardless of the winner. Speaking of something that many people dream big about is also, could Caitlin Clark guide the Indiana Fever towards a WNBA championship in her rookie year? I can understand why it sounds absurd. We are discussing a rookie managing a club that last season ranked lowest in the league. But guys, who can claim it's impossible after what we have seen? For a moment, let us consider it. Unlike most rookie, Clark is not. Many all-star veterans have never reached the level she is playing at. Usually found in players with years of league experience, her court vision, scoring ability, and most importantly, winning mindset are traits you would typically find in players. Furthermore, not simply Clark is involved. Every game is helping the Fever as a whole change. Playing the best basketball of her career is Kelsey Mitchell. Yes, the path to the crown is challenging and drawn out. The league boasts supposedly more gifted teams with more experienced membership. But have you seen how the Fever behave when they are ablaze? Anybody can be beaten by them. One also considers the fairy tale aspect.